Okay, so make sure that you can hear sound. If this message is for people who can't, who are just looking at this and they don't have sound, hopefully they'll be able to change their settings so they can hear the sound on this video. Okay, so section 112 is on sketching. So some of the sketches are pretty simple. For example, this one is a line that's drawn in a plane. A plane, we represent that by kind of a piece of paper. Sketched, it could be a perfect rectangle, or it could be kind of a tilted type of drawing where you're looking at that piece of paper at kind of an angle like this. And then, so if we wanted to sketch a plane, here's our plane. And then if you want to draw a line that intersects the plane at more than one point. Well, if we drew a line going through the plane like this, it would only cross it at one point. For it to be more than one point of that line touching the plane, it would have to be sitting on the plane, or in the plane, as it were. And so all I did is I drew my plane originally, and then I just drew a line that was actually sitting in this plane. So it's like a piece of paper with a line drawn on it. Remember that lines have arrows on both ends. If I didn't have arrows, it would just be a line segment, right? That's not a line. This is a line. So sketch number 2 is draw a plane and a line that's in the plane. Well, that's basically the same thing as this, right? So I'm just going to draw that same thing. Oops. There we go. So basically I'm going to draw 2 lines up and down and 2 lines side to side, and hopefully make them as parallel and equal in measure and length as I can. And then it says we want to draw a line that's in the plane. Well, that's what this is. And then sketch another line that intersects the line and the plane at a point. Okay. So that's where my line is going to go shooting through. So here's my other line. It comes zoop, and it pops through the plane and the line in the plane at that point. And then afterwards, it's kind of behind. We can't see it because it's traveling behind the wall that is our plane. And then you can see it again at some point, and then it goes like that. So that's how we would draw a plane with a line in the plane, and then another line that intersects the line in the plane at a single point, and that's the point. So these are the types of things that you'll be asked to draw. Some of them are a little more challenging, some of them are easy. One of the things that they ask you to do is just draw the intersection of 2 very simple things. So for example, I'm just going to go to the back of my packet. Back here we have papers that just say other notes. So it's just blank paper that you can write whatever you want to on. So I'm just going to write some things on this one. So for example, I'm going to draw some intersections. So my first example is an intersection of a line and a line segment. So intersection means that 2 objects cross each other. So here's a line, and here's a line segment. Lines have arrows indicating infinite movement on both ends. Line segments do not have any infinite movement. They have 2 endpoints. If I wanted to draw a line intersecting with a ray, here's a line, and then a ray has an endpoint, and then it goes infinitely in one direction. So here's my endpoint, and then it goes infinitely in that direction. You could have drawn it really any way you wanted, as long as it had an endpoint, or as it should be called the starting point, and then an infinite direction of movement. So as I mentioned, these are the things that aren't so hard. One other one would be, this is more an intermediate, but a pair of opposite rays. Okay, well if I draw a ray going this way, starts here and goes that way, a ray in the opposite direction would start at the same spot and go exactly the opposite direction. So there's a pair of opposite rays. This one and this one. Okay, so these are the easier ones to draw, where it's just a simple line segment, or ray, or two rays going in opposite directions. A little bit harder would be to draw two planes that intersect. Now on the next page of your packet, there's some directions as to how to do this. I think this one's kind of hard, the way that they've given you these directions, so I'm going to show you what I think is an easier way to do it. So I'm going to draw it. I'm going to give you the alternate method of drawing two intersecting planes. So basically I'm going to have two planes that kind of cross each other like that. Okay, so here's what you're going to do. You're going to draw kind of an X shape, but make it long side to side. You see how the X is kind of flat and wide? Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make what I call the mosquito. I'm going to draw 4 legs going straight down. Each one of these legs is going to be the same length. Okay, see, each one of those legs is about the same length as the other ones. And then here's why I call it a mosquito, because I'm going to draw the little biter thing that the mosquitoes try to drill into their little noses in the center. And again, so all 5 of these are going straight up and down, and they're the same length as each other. Okay, so this is going to form the basis for my two intersecting planes. Next, I connect this corner to the center and this corner to the center. Those form the two parts of the planes that are coming forward towards the observer. And then back here we have the two parts that are going behind. So these, if you think of these as walls, these two walls in the back are partially hidden by these. So when we draw the wall, we still draw it, but we draw it in dashed form to indicate that it's kind of behind, it's hidden behind something. But then once it pokes out and it's visible, we draw it as a solid line. So I'll do the same thing over here. I'm going to connect the center, and then like so. And there you go. That's two intersecting planes. I think this method is easier than this one, so I'm not going to go over this because I think this one just kind of walks you through it step by step, and you can practice this technique as well. All right, so now they want me to sketch two different lines that intersect a plane at different points. So, well, if I draw a plane, that's how I would do it. And if I draw two different lines, well, here's one coming out at this angle. It pops through right there and then goes behind for a little bit, and then you can see it again right there. And then maybe put another one, I don't know, going this way, punches through right there, and then goes behind for a little bit, and then you can see it again right there. So that's two different lines that intersect a plane at two different points. So when you're sketching, we can do a little bit more practice. A lot of the things you're going to be asked to do aren't too hard. They're like this, or drawing two intersecting planes. Sometimes they're going to ask you to draw more than two things together. So for example, they may ask you to sketch 3 lines, or 3 rays, or 3 line segments. So for example, someone asked me to draw 3 line segments that intersect at only one point. There would be two different ways to do that. Here's a line segment right here. I could draw another one right there, and I could maybe draw a third one right there. These are 3 line segments that intersect right here at this central point. Or I could draw them like this. 1, 2, 3. That's another example of 3 line segments that intersect at only one point. I think that's basically all you need to know. You may be asked to draw 3 intersecting planes, which is really, really quite tricky. I would actually just encourage you, if you want to draw that, it's on our review packet, to just kind of practice that and see what you can do. I would use the same technique that I used over here. So do you remember first I drew kind of the X's? If you want to draw 3 intersecting planes, you'd have to draw 1, 2, 3 lines intersecting and then draw all the little legs coming down. It would look more like a spider because you'd have 6 legs coming down instead of just 4. And then don't forget the little line right in the center. And then you'd have to really think about which of these 6 walls are behind and which are in the front. You're probably going to, again, have 2 in the front, but then you're going to have 4 walls that are kind of tucked behind other things. And you'll have to do, as you make your connections, you'll have to really think consciously about what's behind, and you'll have to make those lines dashed. So try that. I'm going to go ahead and draw that myself here. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so I'm going to draw these. I'm going to try to draw 3 intersecting planes. Here we go. Draw the lines straight up and down. These little spider legs that come down. Notice that I make my walls really short. I think it's just easier to do it that way. Makes the connection process easier. Well, I would say that these 2 right here would be the walls that you can clearly see from this vantage point as we're looking at it this way. And these other 4 are at least partially hidden behind. So like right here, this little section would be hidden behind. Or right here, this little section would be behind. And then this one, as you come in towards the center, this part would be behind, and this part right there. So there you go. That's my attempt at three intersecting planes.